We do have to talk about Cenk Uygur. First off, I got into it with him yesterday. Part of this is about Cenk Uygur's fantasy of like, you got to speak up against your own side. That's his thing. You got to speak up against your own side. Now, nobody really has any issue with anybody speaking up against their own side. What we do take issue with is somebody like Cenk Uygur who goes around and has nothing but like kind words, and he tries to be amenable to MAGA and the right wing. We got to listen to them. We got to build a populist movement with them. Yes, we know that they've rejected us and they've lied to us and they sneak and they cheat and they steal and all that, but we're going to make nice with them. We're going to believe in the good of them, and we're not going to hold them accountable for the fact that they do nothing but trash civil rights and lie and flip their positions. And they say they're going to cut defense, and then they never do. They increase it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he still remains open. He remains amenable. He remains with the desire to connect with MAGA, to hear them out. And at the same time, though, he will not go on Majority Report and go talk to Sam Seder, okay? He will 20-minute diatribes trashing Franny and Emma. He and Anna will drink a box of fucking Franzia wine, and they'll fucking have Twitter tirades and shit. But then he's like, one of the most toxic ideas in politics: you shouldn't criticize your own side because it helps the other side. That's how a party devolves into a mess that demands compliance instead of excellence. If you can't ever criticize, then you can't fix things that are broken. But here's the problem. The problem, and the reason why I challenged him, is because he never criticizes to fix broken things. I have not witnessed Cenk Uygur fixing any broken thing. He can't even fix a broken relationship with Francesca Fiorentini. He had to blow that up. He had to detonate it. He's detonated his relationships with Pastor Ben, with Mondale Robinson, with Emma Vigeland, with pretty much everybody that's gone through TYT, that he's alienated, that he's detonated their relationships. He hasn't like fixed anything. He's not mended a single broken thing, even in his own personal life, much less being a force for fixing broken things out in the larger world of electoral politics. But what he does do is he goes on Piers Morgan, and if he starts talking about Trump, within 30 seconds, he's talking about Biden. He's talking about Obama. He is fixated on how bad the Democrats are, always. That's all he does, is talk shit about him. And I even called him out. I said, you spend 90% of your time criticizing the Dems while you glad hand Trump. And you can't bullshit us anymore. We know him. We clocked him. Absolutely, we did. But now look at what he did today. Okay, so we got into this yesterday, but look at what he posted today. He says, I'm so proud to be hated by the radical left. Now he's even using the terminology. He's straight up using the right-wing terminology, the radical left. Okay? Now these are the same people that he's calling the radical left, who he was like taking 20% of their YouTube income, and they were all under the TYT umbrella. They're all now the radical left. Okay, straight up with the terminology. He says, not based on policy, but based on attitude. There are plenty of our viewers and hosts who are way to the left of me on the issues. I actually love that exchange of ideas. Okay, he says he loves the exchange of ideas, but he didn't. Do you see him? He got so torqued when Francesca interviewed him. He won't even go talk to Sam Seder, right? He won't even go on the show. It's the radical mindset that's so toxic, and it's true for radicals on either end of the spectrum. Here are the rules. You must hate the other side. You must have a completely closed mind. Don't ever waver from orthodoxy or use your own judgment. You must be pure, racially or ideologically. Now, we can go into this. Now, the thing is you don't necessarily have to hate the other side, but when the other side is gutting civil rights and killing women, and the other side is doing this shit, when the other side is like memeing the death of people like this with the coffin meme, like, bro, I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? They're like, dude, there's millions of people are going to die worldwide. And they're memeing it. They're like, yeah, we are killing people all over the world. We're going to do the coffin meme. And Cenk, though, finds that's amenable. He can reach out to those people with the coffin meme. But if somebody on his own side, supposedly on the left, says, hey, man, like, you guys are framing the homeless shit in a way that's really harmful. Or like, hey, guys, like, we really need to defend transgender people. That is like, whoa, now you're unreasonable. You are radical. You're a radical. You are a radical left motherfucker, right? Now, this thing here, number 3, about you must be pure racially or ideologically. I don't know about being pure racially or ideologically, but I do know this, okay? I do know that you do need to have a base foundation of defending civil rights. You know what I'm saying? Like, that has to be a foundational piece of the equation. It really does. If you don't make, the foundational piece of equation being human rights, like for example, if Texas is passing a law, like their new law, that's going to allow them to charge transgender people with identity fraud. So every trans person in Texas can be charged with a felony just for being trans. If you allow that law to exist on your quest for populism, you can't have any populism at that point. There is no populism. You can't have any sort of Texas populism if there's a law that is charging trans people with a felony simply for existing. And that's not about being ideologically pure. It's about simply not being fucking brain dead. And he says they're right to hate me on those grounds. I can't stand that way of thinking. I refuse to close my mind, he says. He says he refuses to close his mind. But dude, he literally just fired Franny because she said he looked like a bitch going on Dr. Phil. He did look like a bitch, but he heard a couple of like strong statements about his behavior and he fucking closed his mind, bro. He booted her. He did close his mind. He says, I refuse to hate the other side, but I'm willing to hate my own side, and call them the radical left. All right, Cenk. Oh, Cenk. What's up with that? Stubby. Dude, what is going on with that? If you demand that I agree with everything you think, you'll be waiting a long time. If you want to fight over that, I'm right here, hoss. Okay? And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. You have so much disdain for the left, right? But he does not have the same disdain for the right, okay? He's proud. He's so proud to be hated by the radical left. Oh, Cenk! Oh, I'm so proud. Oh, the radical left hates me. Oh, don't call me a birthing person. Dude. Oh, Lord, bro.
And I also think, I think to Zach's point, no, I don't think Cenk is a good businessman. I think he is both a shitty boss in a lot of ways and a bad businessman. And he wants to be over and across everything, constantly talking. And to be fair, I mean, it's probably better than him trying to run for office again.
See, now, there is some empirical data. Okay, there is some empirical data that supports Franny's thing here, because if we roll back, guys, okay, and I'm not talking about right now, we don't know what happened with Polymarket, but if you go back to like during Trump's first term, dude, TYT got a lot of money from Katzenberg, okay, a lot of money, like $30 million, like massive amounts of money. And they fought the unions. All their contributors were making like rock bottom fucking amount of money. They were like monetizing people's shit on other platforms without paying the creators. They were like sneaking and cheating. They didn't pay for a facility. They crowdfunded their fucking studio. But they literally burned through like tens of millions of dollars while the channel... right? The channel literally has sank It is gone like down. Like if you look at the channel, dude, it is like Tesla stock. Dude, that shit is just bottoming. Okay? But they had 30 million fucking bucks. Okay? 30 million they burned through in just a couple of years. Like, where did that money go? Right? Where is the TYT money even going? Because obviously Cenk and Anna have some level of like, separation and success, shot calling. Nobody really knows. Like, there's not any sort of transparency. It's like they're the two mob bosses. Okay? They're the two mob bosses. And that's it. And then everybody else is kind of like in the dark.
Nobody is privy to anything. I mean, and that's sort of how Cenk likes it. And I think that's probably what Anna had problems with, but just, without naming names, I know that others also have problems with that. It's like, I don't know. It's whatever they tell me. Sure. Why not? And so I also think I know when I was hired, when I started getting paid for my appearances, I was told by the head of programming, don't tell anybody that you're getting paid.
Dude, that's so shitty. I mean, think about that. When you're a paid contributor on this progressive news, whatever entity, organization, they're like, okay, now that you're getting paid, don't tell anyone you're getting paid. Keep that on the DL that you're getting paid, which is like, how many people have gotten exploited by this? You got to wonder how many people were like Fran and Emma that were pulled in as interns, but they never went anywhere. How many people got chewed up by this?
That's totally on the side of the corporation. And this might be news to you, but one of the, not like news to you, but just like it's something we followed for a long time as far as the financing of TYT. And I don't know how much of this was ever something that came across your plate, but in 2017, obviously they took the financing round from 3L Capital, which was led by Jeffrey Katzenberg.
There it is.
They got $20 million.
$20 million.
Katzenberg,
$20 million. $20 million.
Anti-homeless advocate in Los Angeles, right? A guy that spends a lot of time with the Gavin Newsom approach to homelessness. There was another gentleman, Joseph Sandberg, contributed millions of dollars and is still listed on the Young Turks website. That guy was recently arrested for fraud, but the Young Turks did no coverage of it. He's also deeply involved in the Gavin Newsom style anti-homeless clean up the streets of Los Angeles kind of coverage. In October of 2022, Cenk Uygur obviously publicly endorsed billionaire real estate tycoon Rick Caruso over Karen Bass. And in May of 2020,
dude, that's insane right there. Like supporting, dude, the progressive news guy supporting the billionaire land developer for mayor. Like, whoa.
They renamed the People Studio, which had been fundraised with $400,000 in small dollar donations, to take an unannounced, unclarified, non-public sum from Polymarket Studios. And that's owned by Peter Thiel and is obviously illegal to use in America. I'm wondering if you think because Cenk has the pressure on him from all of these outside financiers, that might have something to do with the tonal change that we've seen in TYT over the last decade.
By the way, we should interject here that the same Cenk Uygur who took $20 million from Katzenberg's capital firm, took millions of dollars from the other guy who got busted for fraud, right? Which is probably the 30 million total. He supported the billionaire land developer for mayor, okay? And he fucking takes the Polymarket money, the illegal crypto gambling fucking Polymarket money that is owned by the other side during an election year. This is the same Cenk Uygur who talks about how the Democrats are terrible because of billionaire donors. But that's like 1, 2, 3, 4 billionaire donors that Cenk Uygur's getting a little fucking, oh, Janky poo, right? 4 billionaires he's got fucking sniffing up on him, right? Dude, that's 4, baby. Dude, he's like working double time. Dude, Janky's like fucking full fucking metal jacket on that one. But, but he hates the billionaire donors. They're janking. He's janking them off. Oh, shit. Janking off billionaires.
I mean, yeah, that is also a massive question. And I really don't want to speak like out of pocket about any of that because I honestly don't know. I just know how it's come down on people. And I do think that the change in coverage, the change in tone from someone like Anna has
Huge
definitely
change.
impacted the number of people who've joined up, who support it. I mean, it's not anecdotal when you see I canceled my TYT subscription. No. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
Dude, they're in my comments. Every time I make a TYT video, there's hundreds of comments of people who talk about ending their membership and no longer supporting fucking TYT.
Anna, let's be real. Anna's, and then increasingly Cenk's, like, terrible coverage. Like, you could draw maybe not a direct, but an indirect line into like the letting go of someone like me and be like, sorry, times are tight, you know. And again, I am not here to say they should have kept me on. I did, to my patrons, say that he acted like a bitch on Jillian Michaels' show, and he has acted like a bitch. He has every right to not want to ask me back. Again, the firing language is a little bit insane because I'm like, I've never been an employee, but okay. And then obviously the like banning of other shows. I've got a great relationship with John, or at least I thought I did. And I had a great relationship, with
yeah, dude, a lot of people, if you go look at the comments, I made a video about John's reaction to her being banned. And a lot of people in those comments were not happy with John. They were not happy with John. And I get it. He was very both sidesy, very like, wow, Fran's really special. I hope she comes back kind of deal. But he didn't really take much of a stand for her. He said something about, I tried to avoid this by being diplomatic, but I guess I'm not very good at diplomacy. But it's like, bro, if you're like a partner of yours that you value, that's really close to you, it gets sort of removed from the network. Like, isn't that a good time to like take a stand for her? Like, maybe diplomacy is not necessary, but maybe you could like stick up for her. I mean, dude, I don't know what's going on there, but he didn't stick up for her at all. And people were mad. A lot of people were mad, dude.
What I think they're thinking about all the time is not the progressive mission. You know what I mean?
They're thinking about,
you could do a daily news show like that is if it's an obsession of yours, if it consumes you. You know what I mean? And clearly, it doesn't consume them.
Dude, when you see them, I mean, I know we watched some of Anna and Cenk. We dismantle some of their coverage, but like you see them both, they're like very phoning it in. They just feel like they're phoning it in. They hate the left. They're disappointed that the populism isn't taking hold on the right. They hate the way the news media is. Everyone's against them. Yada, yada, yada. Purity test. Right? Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. And something has to ground you, right? Like something has to like be your main motivator for why you want to do this. And for me, it's like the broader project of like, for lack of sounding corny, collective liberation. I mean, truly fighting these fascists and getting rid of them and winning. I don't want to meet them halfway. I don't give a shit. I'm going to beat them. I'm going to beat the propagandists. That's what I want to do. If they don't haul me away and take down everything I have, you know what I mean? Which could very well happen. So that's the other question.
Not on our watch.
I mean, well, okay. We'll create some sort of underground situation. I mean, I do think the only angle I can think for like why they might be doing this is maybe it'll a little bit save their asses. There's a big target on a big network's back that maybe speaks out about Palestine or whatnot. So it's like, hey, get in good with the administration. Who knows? That could be an angle. But in terms of what I hope the future, or what I would have hoped the future would be, Mondale Robinson said something on my show. He said this that seems so pie in the sky, but I really think it would be wonderful, to free Cenk and Anna of TYT and to take over the channel, because it does have a massive subscriber base. And yeah, people tune in for, some standard news. They want that news. They definitely want it from like a perspective, which is why I think some of the ways that Anna handles issues like the LA wildfires is wildly unprofessional.
See, I still contend that if Cenk and Anna, when they took that money way back when in 2017, if they had stayed off the air, okay, if Cenk and Anna got off the air and simply let the news personalities, the younger, more like leftist personalities like be the ones piloting the ship, they would reinvigorate that channel. That channel could be hugely successful, but it's dead. It is so dead. It is dead because Cenk and Anna are the least interesting and least engaging in people to watch deliver the news. There's nothing about them that they don't even look good anymore. They just look frumpy and resentful and filled with grievance.
Skewed, biased, and lazy. But I think that I wish, right? Like, I wish it could just be into different hands. And I say that without like, and it'll be my hands. No, I just wish that like, and it's what they call founder's disease, right? It's like people who found a company or an organization stay there. They don't want to let go. Stay there. And I also think, I think to Zach's point, no, I don't think Cenk is a good businessman. I think he is both a shitty boss in a lot of ways and a bad businessman. And he wants to be over and across everything, constantly talking. And to be fair, I mean, it's probably better than him trying to run for office again.
Oh, dude, he got so like smacked running for office. Like, what an unmitigated disaster that was.
What a humiliation that was. And that's what's also funny is when Cenk's like, like, you want to criticize me, but what have you built? What have you built? It's
dude, the whole what have you built? Remember when Cenk was like talking about how he was challenging Joe Biden? Talk about fucking delusional, bro. Oh, dude.
Bro, what the fuck have you built? You've miserably failed in every single one of these ventures, even regardless of business. He's not a good activist either. None of his quote unquote activists, PACs, ventures, whatever you want to call it, none of them have succeeded. None of them have gone anywhere. They've all just sucked up money from, good faith progressive viewers and thrown it in the trash essentially. But either way,
and I think that's the other thing is, sorry, last. And if you guys it's like, the other thing is the world has changed and the media landscape has changed. I mean,
very much. Media is very different.
Is basically like starter pack politics when you discover what YouTube is.
Yeah, see, that's just it. Dude, it reminds me of the crooked media guys, right? Like Viator and Favreau, right? All those Obama old guys where they were experts, 12 years ago when the media was very different. And now they come onto the scene, Favreau and Viator, all those guys, they come out and they're like, let me tell you how it is. And it's like, actually, no, it's not like that. You're telling us how it is or how it was 12 years ago. But like your shit is like way out of date. And it feels like TYT is the same thing, dude. Their heyday, like they're so like not current at all. They are not current. Like TYT is not. And I think though having two older, sort of Gen X, like not even very progressive people being the main show hosts, it's part of the problem, dude. He has a real, like, I built all of you guys, but did he really? From what I understand, it's like all these people were blowing up in the space and then he just like grabbed them and took a percentage, was signing them up to be on the TYT, like multi-channel network or whatever. So if anything, I think he was picking them all up to prevent them from overtaking him. That is why they have 18 million subscribers and like zero fucking reach, bro. Their reach is like T-Rex arms, dude.
What I'm saying, like it's like the free game that comes along with your iPhone. Like that's how entrenched TYT is with all of this. Like and so, but since then you've had so many, news shows blow up, right? Kyle's show, The Majority Report, all people they hate, like although Cenk says he likes Kyle, even though Kyle has definitely critiqued them, and it's
on our show, no less.
Yeah. And there's also like more alternative media. There's just so many more media outlets. So it's much more competitive. So it's hard for them. Right. And again, I do think that, for example, Anna is not happy. And I think she needs a lot more money to be happy because I think ultimately she wants to just be interior decorating.
Dude, she hates her job. Anna literally hates everything about her job. Like, I swear, I recognize it because by the time I quit bartending, that's where I was at with bartending, where I was so over bartending that I would be bartending and I would just look at the customers and I literally just despised like 75% of the customers, right? I did. I despised them. Somebody would come up and ask for a glass of water and I wanted to just chew their fucking face off. And that's when I was like, God damn, dude, I got to get out of this profession. You just get to a point where like you can't come back from that. You know, there, you hit a point where, God, I just can't do it anymore. And like Anna is so there, dude. She just despises everybody.
Like I kind of have that on good faith that like
she said that like 10 years ago or like maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. She is with the Trump stuff. She's like, this is just misery. I can't deal with it. It's bad for my mental health. I'd rather just be an interior designer. And it's like, you can do that. Like you're in a much better position than most people are in life to just kind of manifest your reality or your desired reality into existence. Like just fucking do it. Why are you letting anyone tell you no? That's kind of how I feel with John Iadarola too, where it's like, I understand that the Damage Report brand and that channel, you've built it up, you have all these subscribers and stuff. But like you said, he doesn't need Cenk and Anna. He doesn't owe all of his success and all of his talent to them. No, he could do just as well on his own, if not better.
Absolutely. If he went on his own, I can tell just from the way people are in the comments, that guy has a huge fucking fan base. Dude, John does. Huge. Right?
Maybe you got to scale it back. Who knows? Maybe it's good if John would go on his own because they don't have the money to upkeep him. You know, I mean, it's a very small team that puts that show together, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, wow, I love the left always hates each other. And, you know, you always want to see everything be torn down. No, man, we didn't start this fight. You know, we don't want to see like these hosts we didn't leave them. They left us, man. They left their own audience. They really did. They did it as a service to their own audience. They've been online too long.
Dude, and the thing that really hits me is that birthing person shit, right? That's kind of the thing that I feel like was the first, like, goddamn for me. I don't know if that hit you guys that way because the thing that was so strange about it is like nobody had called Anna a birthing person. Nobody had referred to her as that. She hadn't been accosted with that. That was not a thing that like people in the left wing were doing. It was like this obscure article from like the UK or some shit. And it showed up one day in sort of the political discourse and the people on the right wing were freaking out. And then all of a sudden Anna was like up in arms about it. But like, dude, I've never heard anyone in the left wing call anybody a fucking birthing person or make a huge deal about needing to call someone a birthing person. And that was one of those things that just became this huge thing for Anna that was like, it didn't even really exist, right? It was like, dude, that doesn't even exist. Like, you know what I mean? It was like really weird. It was just so out of the blue, out of pocket, and she presented it as though this was like this firmly entrenched left-wing requirement of like, you gotta, right? And it was
their
like,
brains are too broken by the internet. They have been, you know, and I think also that is fundamental to how they approach stories is very internet clickbait based. Cenk is a contrarian by nature, right? And when you are in a progressive movement, when you believe in, you know, bending that arc of justice, as MLK Jr. said, when you believe in really like changing this country, you have to be a collectivist. You have to work with other people. Like, and I truly don't mean the right. I truly don't mean that.
Right.
Because there are way more of us. Obviously, the problem, the mandate, Cenk basically buys into the mandate thing.
Dude.
Oh, they won the popular vote.
Dude, they won the popular vote by like 1.37%, and they didn't even get 50%. Dude, Cenk, shut the fuck up. Dude, the mandate. Dude, a mandate is like 65%, okay, of the vote. Dude, and they didn't even get 50. Bro. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, You know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.